because it's the silly, stupid, fascinating, weird, wonderful. They're my people, and more often than not, they're the geeky people as well.
But this real sense that what you do as you emerge out of Middle Earth in your real life is you hope, because Tolkien's so good at capturing that.
I mentioned Betamax. For anybody older, that's the old version of a video cassette. A video cassette is an old version of a DVD. A DVD is not set of the cloud.
And I said, I'm not happy, I've got bits wrong here. And she said, yeah, but that's all part of the learning process. That's all part of that makes it unique to you, that those kind of imperfections within it.
Welcome to the Minecraft game of live streams and podcasts. We start with nothing in a blank world. We forage, we snack, we maybe drink. We walk around the place gathering resources, and finally we mine down and hopefully retrieve something more than just cobblestone. Welcome to another episode of Faith and Geekery. My name is Mark, and tonight we are not joined by Becca, as she's busy, but we do have...
Hi, I'm Tim, and also here with...
Hi, I'm Jenny, and I love, Tim, you did your quiz freeze at the beginning, which I'm here for. It's wonderful.
How are we all doing tonight, bearing in mind it's a live stream?
Oh, good. Yeah, good reminder. Yeah. Good, thank you. Doing good. Enjoying the sunshine, good. Most definitely. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, all right, actually. All right, enjoying the sun too. We went for an ice cream this afternoon to a place locally called Farmer Copley's, which is about 25 minutes away, and it is fantastic ice cream.
You'd have to be 25 minutes away. I've got Mr. Whippy just on the corner.
Other ice cream parlours are available.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go anywhere else.
If we were sponsored, though.
Hey, if there's any ice cream
sponsored.
Ice cream parlours or board game companies or
open for sponsorship
or 3D printing companies that wish to sponsor us, we are. Let us know. We're more than happy to have a good chat about it.
Open to offers.
Stephen says, "Hi everyone."
Hey, Stephen.
And I will share, and I'll plug the Discord now. So, folks, we do chat and share things in bits and pieces, including the Geeky Gallery and bits and pieces like that on our Discord, which will be in the link. And somebody local. So Stephen has put, it's not just the ice cream that's yummy at Farmer Copley's. It's fantastic food as well. But I will post pictures of the ice cream because I took pictures, and I will share them in the Discord.
Nice.
But we're going to start where we always start, by asking what geeky things have we been up to since we last gathered. Anybody for a start of a 10, 11, or even 1?
I'm happy. I'm happy to go because I'm prepped and ready. Because I'm not sure it gets more geeky than reading a book and then realizing you need your little tabs because you need to be able to go back and remember where all your tabs are. So I'm reading The Gender of Sound by Anne Carson, and she wrote the Electra translation play that I went to see in London last month, which was absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant. So I'm reading more of her stuff, and this is called The Gender of Sound, and it's amazing. If anybody's read it, I'd really need somebody to talk to about it. So let me know, please, in Discord.
So it's called The Gender
of Sound, and it's by Anne Carson, and it's absolutely amazing, and it's obviously so amazing. I had to.
What kind of genre is it?
It was originally a article, or it was a piece in a bunch of articles. So it's nonfiction, and it's a reflection on the sound that we make as people and the way patriarchy has held on to it,
cool.
And defined particularly gender norms through it. And I think in our country at the moment, things like this are more pressingly important. So I'm absolutely geeking out over that book particularly. I think Becca would really appreciate these.
For those that are listening via podcast, Jenny did show off the book that is in lots of different color-coded highlighters, plus all the tabs on the side of the book as well.
Oh my gosh, I'm living my best geeky life.
Stephen has also said, does compiling yet another wad of information for the circuit's auditors count as geeky, nerdy, or just sad?
A necessary geekiness.
I think probably all three. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we feel for you.
Anyone else?
I have this, which I'm not going to show what's inside of it on screen.
I think I could tell what that is.
But some of us might know what's actually in this.
It looks like a brown leather-bound
It's a brown leather-bound journal, which is on its second book. And it's got a lot of D&D world building stuff in there.
Oh, fantastic!
Freaking out, man!
And also a list of things I need to ask people. But that's all I'm going to say right now. Aside from, I had a session 0 recently with some people. I've got another session 0 tomorrow with the same campaign, and I'm highly excited. I will say more later.
I'm not meant to be in a meeting tomorrow, am I?
No.
Okay.
No.
Just checking.
Sorry, Thursday. Thursday. Today is Tuesday. Thursday, so not tomorrow, the day after, but you're not in that meeting either, so don't worry.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I was panicking. Andrew has said from YouTube, an interesting development in church music is male and female keys for songs, a propensity for alto and tenor voices in lead singers and recordings mean I often have to shift a song 3 or 4 keys.
Okay, so read this, please, Andy. Please read this, because then we can talk about it.
And you've got him, Andy. I just know him as Andrew. Evening all. I have been most sidetracked. With trains. I think there might
sidetracked. What a
there
pun!
Might be a reference to that with side notes. Is it on the Geeky Gallery later as well?
Oh,
so another reference
cool.
to trains too. I'm hoping I'll put that picture in. Anyway,
Mark, what have you been doing? That's been
I have been doing D&D prepping as well, but for a different thing. For I'm going to call it If You're at Cliff College Festival later this month. We'll be doing a D&D one shot with a couple of familiar faces, couple of new faces, and for those who are coming to the Cliff College Festival, there'll be hopefully a interactive component to it. I've been 3D printing for that, printing some minis and bits and pieces, even though I've got a new glass bed and it's sticking. Everything is sticking to it.
No.
So I don't know what I've done wrong. I've just bought a new one. It should be fine. And yet
That's
it
annoying.
still seems to be problematic. But I've done the printing, what I've needed to do. And so now I'm kind of like just hoping nothing breaks so I don't have to reprint anything. So I'm doing that. And I went to see the Thunderbolts or New Avengers over the weekend, which was very exciting. I was explaining to my son, though, that I was saying about how it's not the big blockbuster kind of, all guns are blazing. But I kind of came out kind of going, actually, the subject matter was really interesting. It was all round good fun. And I think the phrase that I want to hold to is I felt in kind of safe hands with it. I kind of went and I experienced and I came away kind of going, yeah, that was good, actually. Nothing, I don't think anything stood out in an amazing, like, chef's kiss, this is the best movie ever. But the way that stuff was handled, the way that it kind of felt as if the Marvel universe is in safe hands, and that I went and had a good experience at the cinema.
Nice.
And there wasn't anything negative, but it was just like, it was good. And that's it.
But there was, I have yet to see it yet because I am waiting to go see it with a really good friend of mine when we both find time and childcare to go see it together. And a lot of the reviews I've been reading around it are saying that there's lots of comparisons to WandaVision in terms of the narrative storytelling and the themes within it, and that it's a very good needed difference to what's come before. So the best comparison I have is there was a cookery show I was watching, and it from Korea, and they were basically tasked. It was a challenge task, and they were challenged to cook something gourmet out of supermarket, like convenience store food. And everyone did like noodles, ramen, savory crab cakes, and this one guy made a tiramisu by literally getting like cream puff buns and scooping all the cream out and whipping it together and grating the chocolate and doing all that, because he said it's once you've had so much savory stuff, you need that sweetness to cut in, and it like just settles you and is the nice palate cleanser within that. And from what I've been reading around, this is that kind of palate cleanser to the big bombastic Marvel movies that we've had in recent times.
I'm going to have again, not in the not too distant future, huge cast, right? And so that's exciting. Also Florence Pugh, so
also in about 50-ish days, Fantastic Four.
Dying. I'm actually dying. I'm so excited.
At this point, I can't say no comment in the fear that you may have jumped to conclusions, but no comment. So let's move on, shall we? Yes, but I think it's really good, and I think it is a palate cleanser, and it's interesting that you kind of come away kind of going, actually, there's a couple of really good actors in this. Florence Pugh being one of them, but there's at least two others where I've just kind of gone, you know what? They're actually they've really done well in this film.
It's a really good thing that they've actually got 2 children of 80s action stars in it.
So that's
Wyatt and
Bill's son. I forgot what his name is.
Pullman. He was Bob in Top Gun Maverick, and he's Bob
in this.
In this one,
slightly different character though, but the same name character. And then bizarrely, the woman who plays Ghost, is it Ghost? Is that her Marvel name?
In Ant-Man.
She used to live in Swanland, where I used to be a youth worker. She was just there for a little bit, and I was just like, huh?
Wait,
what?
Oh, okay. That's cementing a theory that has been like how British people can do really good American accents. Because I thought she was from America.
Wow.
Oh, well, I think she like spent a couple of years here in Swanland, and her parents are kind of quite high up. I can't remember even what their roles were, but Swanland is quite I would say quite a posh bit, but maybe the posh bit in East Yorkshire.
Posh bit. Okay.
An interesting place. Anyway, shall we move on to? Unless there's anyone else wanting to comment or otherwise, I think we've read out everything.
Aside from Faith Geekery recommends going to go watch Thunderbolts ***.
Absolutely. New Avengers.
This is the Faith Geekery news, broadcast to your home and around the world.
Just a short one this evening for Geeky News. Just a couple of bits. First of all, we have the magnifier on the Mac is coming out, which is a really cool video bit where basically this person takes their iPhone, slots it on top of their MacBook, and it works that they can zoom in onto their university lecturers' PowerPoint and then kind of extract the information, change the background of it, because if they want like a yellow filter on it or a red filter and things like that, it's like making it like your MacBook into a super telescope sort of thing. So that looked pretty cool, and I was like, wow, that's quite cool. We have celebrity traitors coming up, and they've kind of released more names. I haven't got all the list there. I decided to go for an arty shot rather than actually helpful shot. But we've got the likes of Charlotte Church, Claire Balding, David Olusoga, Joe Marler, Joe Wilkinson, Jonathan Ross. I think you've got Stephen Fry.
Joe Wilkinson though. So if you watch LOL, the UK one, Joe in that was really good.
As in laugh out loud.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I missed that, but yeah. I think it'll be interesting to see the dynamic of how all these people kind of line up with one another and try and play the game or not play the game, and people who are just going to be there for entertainment's sake. And also, there's a picture here from it's technically from IGN's news kind of feed, and that's Fallout is due to come out December 2025. That's the second series.
They just finished wrapping.
Yeah,
this week.
Nice.
Yeah,
quite exciting.
Did you see what dropped this afternoon?
Because it's not in the news, I'm guessing not.
Again, so this is like exclusive hot news for everyone who's listening. Amazon Prime are doing a Spider-Man noir TV series, and they dropped the trailer for it.
Is that Nicolas Cage?
That is going to be Nicolas Cage. And
my gosh!
it looks really good.
Oh my gosh!
Like it's all black and white. They do a little bit of the origin of the character.
That's so cool.
The costume looks like literally they've pulled it out of the Into the Spider-Verse series. That it looks so good.
Controversially, in my top 5 Nicolas Cage films now is Spider-Verse.
Oh,
I know.
I've not actually seen it. So
it's really good. Really good.
I got into trouble though with my other half for mentioning my favourite film, and I introduced it to Becky about Raising Arizona. Have you come across that film?
Yeah, because that's also in my top 5 Nicolas Cage films.
So
have you watched it back though?
Yeah,
I watched it with Becky, and she's like, "This is atrocious," and I was like,
"Well, it's still a classic. It's still brilliant."
So Con Air is going to be on your list.
Okay, no, it's not. No. You might not be able to guess it.
The Rock?
No.
Captain Corelli's Mandolin?
No.
Didn't realise he was in that. Gone in 60 seconds.
I'll give you a couple of clues. Yeah. My number 1, it also stars Cher.
Yes, Moonlight.
Moonstruck. Well done. Good job.
Then there's going through the list of things in my head. The one with Pedro Pascal.
Yes. I haven't seen that, but I'm pretty sure that would be also in my top 5. Just
by association.
Face Off.
No.
No.
Because you just can't believe it. You just can't believe it, because not only have their faces been changed, but their entire bodies have been changed just by removing their faces.
Oh, it's Ghost Rider's not going to be on that list, is it then?
No.
I'm going for all the Nicolas Cage movies in my head.
We could be here for a while.
I was going to say, do you just want to cut to it there, Jen?
Kick-Ass.
No. Leaving Las Vegas.
Okay, yeah.
It's in there. I think that's probably it. I think
what's the top number 1 though? Is that
Moonstruck?
Oh, Moonstruck. Okay, so
yeah.
That's
the one where he can see slightly into the future, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's not the one where
he's
like
a insane.
There's one where he's like a weatherman who becomes a vampire.
No.
Spoilers. But he's like the Code or something. Isn't there something like that he's in?
Oh, Knowing.
Knowing.
Yeah. Knowing.
You've not mentioned though. What's it for? Oh man, I've forgotten it already. Indiana Jones spin-off, like spoofy version of it. National
Treasure.
Yes.
You're not National Treasure too.
Or the Croods.
The Crude, that is in my top 5. That genuinely is because that is a Brit again. So there's 2 animated films in my top.
I'm going to keep moving us on a little bit away from Jenny's top 5 Nicolas Cage films, though I will go away and watch some of those.
What's your top 5 Nick Cage movies? Let us know on the Discord.
Let us know.
Or
National Treasure 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Any other actor, any other one at all.
Pedro Pascal is also a good actor to do a top 5 for. Jenny has 5 number 1s.
How could you choose? It's like choosing your favourite child.
I should also say that trying to steer us back to the geeky news is BAFTA was it last night before, and we had various things, and I've got a small list of things, but I don't actually recognise that many of them. Limited drama was the winner, was Mr. Bates versus the Post Office. Leading actress was Marissa Abela from Industry, and leading actor was Lenny Jones from Mr. Loverman. genuinely no idea what these are, but I thought it was quite interesting to see what they were all pitched up against, and I think it seemed to be a good turnout.
Shanessa Jenkins won, didn't she? Which was lovely to see.
Mm-hmm. And they also announced that they're writing again.
Yes, they did.
Oh dear.
Love it.
Sorry, not a fan of Gavin and Stacey, but at this point, let's move on from the news. And should we move quickly towards we haven't got any guests at this point. We'd introduce the guests, but it's some of our core team. Becca's away, and we'll catch up with her at some point. But then, if we are ready, we're going to move on to the quiz.
I got questions. The quiz.
Pens and paper and/or devices or chalkboards. Don't know what you use at the ready.
Because you're 50,000 years old. You know what? I got 5 out of 5 on last week's quiz, so no pressure. No pressure this week.
I think
that's my normal one.
You've actually got about 9 points here tonight. I decided to take a leaf out of Tim's book.
I'm not that generous.
However, what I will say is the very first one. If you're writing your numbers down, give a bit of space for question number 1, because I want you to kind of choose the. I was about to say things. Yeah, connect the things to the years. So it'll become apparent. Question number 1. In 2025, these 4 things are celebrating significant birthdays. Can you match them up with their correct celebratory age? So, shall I give you the names of the things first?
Yeah.
And then I'll give you the 4 choices. I thought I'd give you the choices.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, but you could connect them all up. So
it's good. It's good. I like it.
Yeah. So the first one is Back to the Future. The second is Gangster's Paradise. The third one is the Hubble telescope. The fourth one is Pac-Man. So that's Back to the Future, Gangster's Paradise, Hubble telescope, and then Pac-Man.
Anybody else singing it now?
I was going to say, I was hoping that Gangster's Paradise was relevant. It turns out, though, that... Yeah, no, I won't go into that yet. I'll give the answer later. So the years to celebrate is 30, 35... 40 and 45. And just for the record, I've put them in alphabetical order, the titles. That was no way in any way, shape or form.
Oh, well done.
So 30, 35, 40 and 45. That's Back to the Future, Gangster's Paradise, Hubble telescope and Pac-Man.
It has to be that one. That one...
How long ago is 30 years ago? 1995, right?
Yes, 95.
Okay,
I was around.
Yeah, we all were.
That one has to be...
I'm going to give you a few more seconds, then we're going to move on. And no cheating in the comments, folks.
It has to be that one.
Shall I move on?
Yeah, all right then.
And I'm going to be nice and give you another multiple choice.
Good.
With Cannes Film Festival beginning today, which Avenger is stepping behind the camera for the first time to direct Eleanor the Great, a 94-year-old thrust into the spotlight? Is it A, Robert Downey Jr., B, Chris Evans, C, Scarlett Johansson, or D, Elizabeth Olsen? So which Cannes Film Festival beginning with Cannes Film Festival beginning today with Avengers. Which Avenger is stepping behind the camera for the first time to direct Eleanor the Great, a 94-year-old thrust into the spotlight? Is it A, Robert Downey Jr., B, Chris Evans, C, Scarlett Johansson, or D, Elizabeth Olsen?
It's a tricky one.
I'm going to keep going then. Question number 3. There is a new Pope, if you've not heard. And his name is Pope Leo the what? Is it A, the 13th, B, the 14th, C, the 15th, or D, the big chief man?
Definitely Definitely D.
I quite like that idea of just like, yep, call me Pope Leo, the big chief man.
That's just what his friends call him.
Yes. Well, isn't it interesting? There's a social media video of
Yes.
of like
Seen
the friend's mum kind of going, "I dated him at college. I dated the Pope."
That was my situationship. And now we know why it was a situationship as opposed to a relationship, because he was going to be the Pope.
Yes, that's why. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going to be the Pope one day.
I can't get into anything serious. I've had that as an excuse.
There's also a similar one where it was like, this is the reason why why popes are elected when they're old, so none of their family are around to give statements to Fox News.
Very good. Do you need this repeating again, or should we move on?
Move on.
Question number 4. What recent movie-related song has become the shortest ever track to make the top 40 in both the UK and the USA? I'll repeat that again. What recent movie-related song has become the shortest ever track to make the top 40 chart in both the UK and USA?
Fighting the urge to even hum it.
Do you know it? Of course you do.
But for podcast viewers, Mark did a little dance.
Absolutely.
There was no sound.
Moving on to question number 5. With Eurovision this coming Saturday, 17th of May, who is the UK's 2025 entry? We'd like
I know it was
the
not.
name of them, and for a bonus point, the track, the single that they are entering it with.
No
I know
idea.
the Australian one.
I know somebody who's going to the Eurovision because they won tickets.
That's pretty cool.
Right? They entered a competition with Bailey's, so they're going to the Bailey's hospitality tent. So I should get a point for knowing that.
You can for yourself for your own quiz.
Thanks.
Shall we have the answers?
Yes.
Question number 1. Does anybody want to take a guess? Or
absolutely
just want
not.
Me to...
Okay. Gangster's Paradise was 30 years.
Yes.
Back. Hubble was 35 years.
Correct.
Back to the Future was 40.
Correct.
Yes, and Pac-Man's 45.
Yeah. Well done.
I got the Gangster's Paradise and Hubble mixed up.
I was going to say Gangster's Paradise. You could. I was tossing up between because it's the same age as Yahoo, eBay, Amazon sold its first book in the bookstore, and Pogs and PlayStation 1 and Frappuccino was served first in Starbucks.
Wow.
Oh,
what a time to be alive, eh?
Exactly.
All of it happened in Seattle.
In Seattle,
so you get.
Because there was a couple of big church booms that happened in Seattle around the same time.
That is where Gangster's Paradise was set as well, I think. Seattle.
100%. You can imagine Ludacris going down with a frappe in one hand, his Amazon tote bag in the other.
So you got 4 points.
No, I got 2. Tim got 4.
Yeah, as in that was available was 4 points.
I know. I'm just mad.
Dear me. So question number 2 about Cannes Film Festival. Which Avenger is stepping behind the camera for the first time? Anybody?
I think it's Scarlett Johansson.
That's what I said.
Correct.
Oh.
And
on,
there is a
on
new
question
Pope.
2, we're neck and neck.
Question 3, there is a new Pope. Pope Leo the what?
Well, then I couldn't remember, so I just went for B, and I can't remember what B was.
I think it was the 13th.
It is actually the 14th.
That's B. That was B.
That was B. Yeah.
Yes.
So Steve Jones, I got Back to the Future and Pac-Man. Then again, I spent much of my misspent youth feeding Pac-Man machines. Absolutely. And then, nobody went for D. Then Big Chief Man.
Only in our hearts.
Question number 4.
Next year.
What recent movie-related song has become the shortest ever track to make the top 40 in both the UK and the USA?
La 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 lava.
Chicken. Steve's lava chicken is as tasty as hell. Yes, it is indeed. It's like 35 seconds long or 34 seconds long, something like that. It's ridiculous, but also very catchy, which is really annoying.
It's the hair, I think.
And then finally, question 5. With Eurovision this coming Saturday, who is the UK's 2025 entry?
I don't know, but I think I might know the song.
That's
Sing
not
it.
the right answer.
I don't know the band.
I know that it wasn't Bill Bailey, but it was almost Bill Bailey.
Oh, that would have been great.
How awesome would that have been?
We would have won.
Would we though? We'd never win. We'd literally never
Yeah.
win. But even with Bill Bailey, but still, we would have, gone down fighting in a glorious way.
I was about to say long-haired musician that Sam.
He's not
Ryder
not
did
long-haired.
But
Not
I know, but that's
No,
it.
short-haired
Well,
now,
I
he's
was
gone
about
all-
to say. I know it's a bit of a shame.
Ever since Strictly, he's gone all, sharp.
Cosmopolitan.
The answer is Remember Monday, and the title of the song is What the Hell Just
happened?
Just Happened. Yeah. There you go.
Fair dues.
Do I get a bonus point even though I didn't get the correct answer?
No.
Okay.
No, Tim. No, you don't. No, that's right.
So I think that's out of 9.
I know the Australian one is about milkshake.
Cool.
That's the only thing I know about the Australian one.
I haven't done any research. I might have to have a look on the website and see. So yes, so that is best out of 9, I think. So answers, as in scores, in the
4.
4. Well done.
6.
Yeah,
Well
whatever.
done. Was that just purely on the first one of getting those?
4. Then Scarlet and Lava Chicken. I got the wrong number because I thought it was the 13th. And even though I got the correct song, I didn't get the band.
You weren't allowed a point. Correctly.
Like I'm still in denial about the travesty that was Finland not winning last year and Germany being decimated last year. They were robbed. Lords of the Fallen should have got more than nil points.
It's political, we know it is.
Yeah,
It's nothing to do with music.
I mean,
David-
what have the Germans ever done in Europe?
David Specker Geek Greet, 0 out of however many I could have scored, and Stephen has got 3, a new
Yay! Fist
personal
pump!
best. Yes,
Fist pump!
well done. So we now are going to kind of meander onto our subject, which is God/gods on screen. And I think I will begin by saying we had a bit of a conversation over WhatsApp about whether it should be gods on the small screen, big screen, or just on the screen. And I was just reflecting that kind of have the times now changed when we make that differentiation between the big screen and the small screen, because actually things are so quick to go away from the cinema and drop onto our streaming services and otherwise.
Not be at this, like have their release on streaming platforms.
Exactly. And so I think that's where...
or even how TV shows now are so cinematic and
we do sound quite old, don't we? I think we've segued into showing our age. But yeah,
I remember back in the day watching it on my dial TV.
Let me just get my flat cap. Excuse me.
Hurry up, lad. Watch out for Whippet.
I've got my old granddad's TV at home, and every so often Ed looks at the side and goes, "But why is it so wide?"
That's where they put the magic band in box.
It's the little monkey doing the crank.
I think at this point, because we're doing an old Yorkshire style, I think we should call it Gods on the Telly.
Gods on telly.
Gods on telly.
So I realise I've just dropped my other bit. 1 second.
Yeah, God's on telly.
Telly.
Just the way that
and
I
it's
said,
not songs of praise.
The way that we titled it, God's on Screen, I did afterwards think, I wonder if I should have put screen on. God's on screen.
God's on screen.
But anyway, yes, so God's on screen. And so I think this is just kind of an opportunity that we've seen over the last however long, or maybe our lifetimes, of kind of the way kind of God capital G or God small g or gods have been kind of portrayed on screen, and I think it was just an opportunity to talk broadly about that, what that makes us reflect upon for ourselves, but also maybe about society. And would anyone like us to start us for 10, or do you want me to throw something at you?
Well, I've still not caught up with Doctor Who, and I know that's where this conversation started. So I don't know if you want to start there.
Conversation always starts with Doctor Who for me.
Always. Begins and end.
No, it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to, because I'm aware that people may still be on playing catch up with that.
Fair dues, yes. So no spoilers. No spoilers.
I'm thinking of all the various TV shows I've watched. So you got Supernatural, which heavily. I think at one point they I think series 4. They had lots of different gods from different faiths all meeting in a motel to, in their words, discuss the Judeo-Christian apocalypse and how that might impact us. Because that series heavily includes heaven, hell, God is real. God's a guy named Chuck, and is a struggling writer. And then you see God's sister, darkness, and all that, because the Death's really lovely. Death like Chicago Deep Star Pizza, and then there's like American gods, that entire portrayal, including the Easter celebration held by Estara, with every single variation and image of Jesus present.
Yes.
Oh yes, yeah, Morgan Freeman as God.
Stephen Jones has just commented about Morgan Freeman, both in Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty. Is that the second one? Yes.
What was the film that had Charlize Theron in it, playing a god who was in a relationship with another god, but only they couldn't actually be together because Hancock.
It was Will Smith,
that was
Charlize
a twist,
Theron,
wasn't
Jason.
it?
Will Smith, Charlize Theron, Jason Bateman. They weren't.
Were they superheroes?
Yeah.
It was divine beings who had superhuman abilities and were worshipped as gods, because Charlize Theron was reportportedly the inspiration for Athena in the Greek pantheon, and that. And then when they were going through all the
Charlize Theron was the inspiration for Athena. Is that
it was like they'd lived for so long, but every time they got close together, they lost their divinity. No. I mean, she's also got a new movie. She's also got a new movie coming out where she's also playing an immortal person from Greek times.
That's because when you look at her, that is pretty much what you think. She is pretty heavenly. My thinking went to the idea of superheroes being very similar to the pantheon, and that sense of especially the fall from grace, and the hero's journey, and the loss of divinity and the gaining of divinity in terms of what can take their power, and their moral fall, and then their rise again. So all of that, I got thinking about that, which made me then think that is basically what we do with celebrities, isn't it? We make them into a pantheon of divine beings and enjoy very much watching them be elevated up, only to tear them down when they do something wrong.
I have a comic book series recommendation for you then. It's called The Wicked and the Divine, and it's basically every 80 years the gods are reborn into teenagers. And they basically have to sacrifice themselves over a space of 4 years before they die naturally to stave off this oncoming darkness. And the most recent generation have been reborn and become pop stars.
That's brilliant.
Lucifer is a David Bowie impersonator. Odin runs a nightclub. Dionysus runs an all-night rave.
That's amazing.
The Morrigan's in there as a death metal band. I will bring you my copies when I next see you.
Yes, please.
I mean, it raises a lot of questions, but I think broadly it also kind of leads us into this kind of the way that God's deity are kind of represented and how they are reflected through the culture. And so that it's interesting that I had on my list Chaos, which was a Jeff Goldblum series, which unfortunately, I mean, it was a fantastic series, but it was like the Greek gods and they've not been, it's been cancelled after one, but it was really interesting of how they kind of took kind of the Greek gods and kind of portrayed them in these very flawed human, almost like a soap opera kind of state way, and just kind of Jeff Goldblum having a tantrum and like, I'm going to send a fire, I'm going to send lightning because they're not worshipping me enough, and it was just really fascinating to see different portrayals of the way that we kind of portray gods. And I think you said about which one did you just mention, Tim? I've forgotten.
American Gods.
American Gods, that kind of gritty and kind of ruthless kind of way. And the other one for me that I had, we mentioned Bruce Almighty, but I've got Good Omens. Should mention that. Is it the Supreme Being that Derek Jacobi plays?
Metatron.
Yeah. I knew that there was some sort of like, is that the, or is it anyway?
He's the voice, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's not
actually.
Voice of God. He's not God.
Metatron has appeared in multiple TV series that I've watched, and each time he's portrayed the Metatron. Metatron is also portrayed by Alan Rickman in Dogma.
Yes, well, I was going to mention Dogma, and then also I was going to and
Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette was God. I was just going,
and I think that for me was quite a profound moment as a teenager of kind of going, this is an awesome way that God can be portrayed, because I think she had like fairy wings, she did. She was very gentle and just kind of prancing around the garden and then kind of chatting and bringing judgment or kind of.
No, she doesn't talk though.
No. She does once.
Yeah.
Because God doesn't talk apart from the one time where Bartleby is on the steps and Metatron says, everyone who's not a divine being or immortal, please cover your ears. And then they have to cover Jay's ears. He's like, what? And then she just opens her mouth and a sound comes out and Bartleby dies.
I've obviously blanked that bit out.
But yeah, I find that it was just quite an interesting kind of narrative. But the weird one for me as well is about Truman, and I know it's not God, but it's the director of the Truman Show where he's talking to Truman through the moon.
It's very Wizard of Oz, isn't it?
Yeah, is that kind of really kind of basic? Oh, talking about bassy tones now, there, Jen, with your book, Gender of Sound. That kind of like really bassy noise of like him just going Truman.
Yeah,
Truman. And I quite like that kind of representation of that, really.
It is interesting that you brought in the Gender of Sound here, because it talks a lot about how in ancient Greek mythology the reason why some of the stereotypes around human voice are the way that they are is because of ancient Greek understanding of male and female, and that represented in kind of pantheon and gods and what was good and bad about that. Yeah.
Well, just to balance it out, I also like the imagery of Alanis Morissette as God in that way as well. That's pretty cool. Stephen also very cool. Said, if any of you have watched the visual Bible Matthew, Bruce Macchiano's portrayal of Jesus shows Jesus is very much relatable to ordinary people and have a fine sense of humour, even though the script is the NIV text. I actually did a bit of my MA dissertation about portraying Jesus as human and kind of because I was really in fact I talked about the hero, and that's anyway, but for me that's what I really gets me wound up, is when we kind of just get Jesus and the divine just kind of acting out the Bible, and it just being very scripted, because maybe people are wanting to kind of step off the safe route of like representing God and Jesus, but for me I kind of go, I just think Jesus was more kind of down to earth and more chatty and more humorous, and I don't really like the fact that they have to kind of script Jesus directly from scripture, and therefore I think he loses his humanity because of that, usually in the representations. But bringing it back to
I'm a big fan of The Chosen. I love it. I'm really connected with it as a portrayal of Jesus. And that's one of the lines that they walk really well, that he is just this ordinary fella. And spending time with his mates and causing trouble, and then all of a sudden he's not. All of a sudden you get this little, because it's all viewed through the disciples' perspective, and it's just their mate Jesus. And all of a sudden, actually, there was in the last episode I saw, the thunder was speaking in the when he's in Holy Week, when he's there at the temple, and they have no idea what's going on, and then it's he makes a joke again about something else, and it's kind of back to earth, back to reality, and that slow unfolding of the divinity that is, I presume, going to be fully seen in the resurrection. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Andrew's put, the joy of the Bible being a written text is you have to do the voices yourself. We hear it a little po-faced in church, but in our hearts you can feel the vibe depending on the translation.
If you ever ask me to do a scripture reading, I will 9 times out of 10 do a voice. And
you're not po-faced then.
Yeah, no. Like I like go, what? Why?
What, like full Muppet?
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh. What if Muppets did the Easter Story, and the only person that is in the style of Muppets Christmas Carol, but what if the only human character was the actor playing Jesus, everyone else around him was a Muppet?
Well, I would watch that. I would pay money to watch that.
Mary Magdalene, Miss Piggy.
It goes very close though, doesn't it, to Life of Brian, and like, he's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy, ha! Oh Jesus! Oh. I love it when teachers of the law and characters, I'm pressing on. I love it when the teachers of the law and other characters come across as whiny because the lesson is read by someone who is used to telling bedtime stories.
Do you love it? Do you love it though, Andrew? Do you?
I've got to say that when I read and when I kind of relate to the Gospels, or kind of expand on the Gospels, usually with the disciples, I tend to put the disciples in a Yorkshire accent, and I blame a previous chair of district for that. But I think it's just very down to earth, and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing now, Jesus? What are you playing at?" And it's like, "Get behind me, Satan!" Anyway, so I can definitely see the voices and of that. I thought, Tim, though, what you're going to say is, if God was going to be a Muppet, which Muppet would he be?
Or would he be Miss Piggy? Yeah. No, there's no conversation around that.
No. If God was to be a Muppet, it would have to be the dog with the long ears.
Ralph.
Ralph. Yes, it'd have to be Ralph, because Ralph never spoke after Jim Henson died, because Jim Henson did the voice of Ralph.
Oh, that's sad and also lovely.
So it has double meaning.
Because it's Jim Henson. It's still Miss Piggy, though.
It's not Fozzie Bear. Waka waka waka.
No, not Fuzzy. And also, the Muppets might be getting cancelled pretty soon, right? So
yeah,
not going to be.
America, what are you doing?
Come on, America.
Is it Muppets or just Sesame Street?
Same.
Okay. But it's all Jim Henson, isn't it?
And there's only one character that unifies Sesame Street and the Muppets.
Kermit. I knew that from the West Wing.
Yeah.
When they have Sesame Street come visit them.
I have just recently restarted my rewatch of West Wing.
So if I was to say to you, what is the only fruit that has its seeds on the outside, you too would know the answer to that question.
It's the strawberry.
Correct. Well done.
Because it's not technically a fruit.
Is it not? Is it a berry? Wait, that is a fruit. What is it?
It's. I'll send you a video.
Okay.
I love the fact that there's not a quick answer. You've got to get a link. Andrew has put disciples are Northerners. Yorkshire is canon.
Love it.
Yeah. So
there is something in there like with I kind of like I'm trying to pinpoint, like, at least within my lifetime, where the depiction of like divine beings went from the overly like we're going to just like pay homage and deference and respect them a lot, to what we get now, which is like more of a reflection of society around us and like what would happen if they're in society now. So like say like with like the one of the, being the age that I am, one of the first things that I saw that was like a depiction of God on screen, I think, was the BBC stop motion-ish classic, The Miracle Worker.
Miracle Worker. Yeah.
Miracle Maker.
Miracle Maker. I don't remember. I have it on video somewhere.
Yeah.
And then the next depiction, I think, would then be the absolute classic that everyone must go watch, The Prince of Egypt.
The Prince of Egypt. Did you not watch VeggieTales?
I did watch VeggieTales, but I just for some reason I do not classify VeggieTales within that. It's just not.
Veggies.
Like, I just don't know why. I just have a mental block on VeggieTales is not classified as TV, or it's just a haunting spectre that just haunts me for my entire life. With a ducky in a tuba.
Just the landscape of my nightmares, that's all.
Just Larry just there going, well, hi there, everyone. But like there is
always watching.
But then I kind of, there's a lot of TV at the moment which is looking at gods and seeing the actual human struggle within that, and being a lot more like, take, if you look at, say, like pantheons of old and some of the stories, like I read through the entirety of a previously named author, Neil Gaiman's rewriting and translation of Norse tales and all the stories they told around the gods. And there was always like hey, there's a bit of wisdom in here, but you have to work out yourself. And the gods were very like godly. Whereas like, I think for me, the ability to like kind of like touch base and kind of see a little bit of myself and understanding a little bit in that, and be a lot more grounded rather than this ethereal, ephemeral thing that I can't really grasp or understand, but I can within that. And there are some actors who do really good at like depicting divine beings, like, Morgan Freeman and Tilda Swinton has portrayed multiple divine beings, or at least very old beings that have been around for so long, and seeing like the flaw with like, I'm going to bring it a little bit back to D&D a little bit, but it's like how like my portrayal of my canon of elves is that they live so long that they don't acknowledge like mortal beings as living. Like, hey, like they literally say like, you are an ant to me because you only live for a certain amount of time, and they have that massive detachment to them, because it's like, well, why should I form an attachment with you? You're about to die like a week later for me, in my mind. And that's kind of that premise is kind of how I see most divine beings in TV shows and movies anyway. And
there's a sense that what we really like is to have the divine portrayed as very other and explore what that is and what that looks like. I was thinking about it in terms of Star Trek as well. There's an amazing episode of Voyager where Catherine Janeway dies and is taken into spoilers. Don't worry, she comes back. Other spoiler, and is taken into the light, and is she sees her life flash before her, and actually God presents as her dad and says, "Yeah, I'm just here to help you transition to what's next. It's beautiful. Follow me." And it doesn't make sense to her, and she keeps resisting it. It turns out to just be an alien trying to get her. And that sense of, we love this idea of it's beyond what we understand. As I watched Jeremy Rayner talk about his he died, and he's written a book. I'm definitely going to read it. It sounds brilliant. Spoilers again, all these people, but he too came back, and that's a little bit like Jesus. But he was saying in this moment where he was dead, he died, he experienced this deep sense of otherness, this sense of being transported into this other place, and he said the only way he could describe it was beyond human description. It was beyond words. The only way he could describe it was that it was all love. It was just this, the only thing that could possibly matter, and the only thing that lasted was this sense of love. So that, I think, what we really like as humans, as linear and limited beings, is to get what that could be, that's such dramatic other, that it's so different from us. And then we like to bring it close, and we like to see it fail, or we like to see it, what would that look like if they were faced with the challenges that we're faced? How does that actually work out in the day-to-day of my life?
And I think we're going to be, I think, like, it's fair to say we're seeing that kind of idea more now anyway. Like I'm kind of thinking, like, in the timeline in my head, like, especially say like in the UK, how much TV we would get, or movies from different countries, and how much would be approved and go by censorships and all this stuff. And now you have a lot more variety of stuff out there, and a lot more people willing to try something different and explore something different, be it, getting a big deal with Netflix and doing a one season thing that's then horrifically cancelled for no reason, or getting lots of money, or getting lots of money from a long-standing British institution, and then Disney come along and give you lots more money to explore something as well. Or even like people doing things on YouTube and TikTok and like exploring it in real time. So like there's like stuff like that.
And this quiet revolution that we're spotting, where people in the generation below us kind of coming back to a sense of spiritual need, that spiritual need that's in them, and that is definitely going to be reflected in the art that we see produced. So it's an exciting time, I think, to be around.
I'm aware time is nearly up, but I do I've enjoyed our conversations tonight. I've enjoyed the way that we it reflects us a little bit in our reflecting to God. I think we've always got to be careful. I can't remember if it was in a philosophy class or something like that, of you've got to be careful when you're looking down the world to try and find God, where that you're not just seeing the reflection of yourself back up again. And so I actually quite like the diversity and the difference in the portrayals of God, rather than just being a middle-aged man looking back at me. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Without sharing any spoilers, I was actually really kind of happy to see where Doctor Who went on Saturday.
Nice.
The Story and the Engine. That's the episode reference. And I think it's just an interesting way that we reflect on God. And for me, I think I'm more closer with one that doesn't have image. It is feeling and sense and possibly voice, but it doesn't matter whether I associate it with male or female, coming full circle to what you've been reading there, Jen.
Nice.
Very briefly, Geeky Gallery, if we're okay to do that. I think we've only got like one slide two slides. So note just a few. I did put that picture in. Working on back scene. I think this is to is a model railway, the mini kind of thing. So he's got some embankment there, I think, so black, and interior of the tunnel, and tunnel portrayal I purchased as cunning little groove. Just take a piece of guide to line.
I do love and a cunning little groove.
So that's really quite cool.
We're cunning little grooves.
Green painted embankment. Mendip Nomad has got a final tournament in the neck of the woods, and so he's been painting some
very cool
Warhammer people. Don't know. And then a couple of Jen, you mentioned about Pedro Pascal.
Do you know, which I know you're going to find deeply surprising from me, but yeah.
And there's a little picture of a poem, because he's a poet as well.
He's a public like what?
What can't that man do and we not love?
What?
And then finally, I've just got a couple of pictures.
Makes me a little bit angry.
Oh, so you've got a game there as well. What's the game? Is that Harry Potter?
It's Hairs and...
A memorable game. Very good.
It was a really good game. I can't remember the name. Hairs and Rabbits.
You also mentioned episodes 2 and 3 of Chosen season 5 will be shown at the cinemas
this coming
UK
weekend. Very excited.
I've just posted a little picture of barbecues as a family. It's these like little tin games. You've got to use little tweezers to put on things onto the grill, and you lose basically if it falls through into the.
But really sad about your 3D printer plate not working.
Yeah, it's a bit annoying. But then also the weekend we played. Me and my son played Nerf. He wanted a Nerf battle, and so we played Nerf. And then the very next day, I think it was on Monday, possibly Sunday, can't remember. He basically went shopping and was like, "I'm gonna get a battery operated Nerf gun." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So you can now hear him going, as he
at least he can't sneak up on you.
That's true.
That's it. So
You'll hear
at least
him
I've got that. I'm afraid that'll be good. And that is the end of Geeky Gallery. It is 9:00, folks. Just remember that we've got a Discord. Thank you for watching on the live stream, on the podcast, listening on the podcast. And is there anything else liking
the page?
Yes,
as
please
well.
do
If
that.
you haven't, the Facebook page, of which there is a link somewhere, which it'll be somewhere. You'll find it.
Yes, we'll attach it somewhere. But is there anything to finish on, Tim?
Yeah, just as we're heading up to a week of more Doctor Who related stuff happening and lots of geeky things happening, just go out and enjoy the really good weekend.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.